CrowdStrike had a horrible 24 hours by causing the biggest computer outage in history. Their software caused millions of computers to go down, airlines to not be able to operate. FedEx wasn't able to operate. It can go on and on. It was a huge blunder by this company. How far down will their stock price go down? I would like to talk about that in this video and see where I expect this stock to end up. To begin with, I filmed a video on June 6th of 2024 on CrowdStrike and shared my comments well before this blunder by CrowdStrike. So you can see that in that video, I had comments that basically were that this stock price was way too high. This is a very good company and they're growing, but I'll substantiate some of the comments I made in that video again and add on this blunder and what potentially could be the damage to the company's reputation, their brand, and it really opens up the door to competitors. And it really makes companies like Microsoft want to really develop their own security software and maybe make theirs stronger so they can eliminate companies like CrowdStrike out of their ecosystem. Let us not forget, Microsoft was primarily the operating system was taken down by CrowdStrike. So I'm sure there are some really disappointed, upset, maybe angry Microsoft executives. And they're talking to CrowdStrike and probably asking, what the heck happened? Now, to begin with, CrowdStrike provided a quite simple, and I would say packaged explanation of what happened. And I don't believe it. I think there's far more behind that. To cause the biggest outage in computer history, there probably was a couple things going on. There's probably more to it than we issued out a version release and the update had a bug and that bug caused a lot of failure. I don't know that it's that simple. If it's that simple, why didn't you catch it? That would be my question is your staff that bad that you couldn't catch an error that was that simple? So that could be maybe questioned and that should be looked into and the company should explain why their staff couldn't catch a simple error. I don't believe it was a simple bug in the software. I'd like further explanation from the company. I think there's more to it and it probably won't be revealed to the public. Now, I have no information other than just my instincts as a business person and looking at the issue, looking at the magnitude of the carnage and the problems that they created, and in looking at the explanation. It's seldom that something so destructive was just one simple item. So I'd like to get a better explanation from the company, and hopefully that comes soon. I think a lot of people will be asking the same question, especially their big customers, especially Microsoft, who was really impacted by CrowdStrike's blunder. Having said that, in my original assessment of the company, I felt that the stock price was too high. Now, the stock price is not the company, and the company is not the stock price. Those are two different subjects. When I valued the stock in early June, I thought the stock was being sold at a premium, and I still believe that. In fact, I probably think that they're probably traded at even a higher premium going into next week. The reason for it is anybody who says they lost very little with regards to their reputation and brand, I'm not sure what they're looking at. They just caused the biggest outage in history. You're going to be stamped with that event for the next 5 years. Their competitors are going to use it against them over the next 5 years. Google is acquiring a company that does security software. It looks like a genius move now, and Google can compete against CrowdStrike. Google is massive. They have so many resources to develop software, make the best software on earth. They also have a sales organization that is huge. So they could package it as part of one of their cloud services. They can do a lot of things with that solution. And Microsoft can develop their own security software that is pretty close to or better than CrowdStrike. So I think there's a lot of things now that come into the picture and can really make the valuation for CrowdStrike different. When I did my valuation of CrowdStrike in early June, I estimated a premium being paid on the stock of above 30%. So you're paying 30% more than the company is worth. I just updated my analysis and using their current stock price and their current market cap. And I estimate that the way that I value the company using their free cash flows that I expect, and I give them a reasonable forecast. And I haven't discounted that forecast, by the way, based on this blunder. I still estimate that they're being sold at a premium of 37%. That means that you're paying 37% more for the company than what the cash flows and the earnings per share are worth, at least based on my analysis. I'm not recommending you buy CrowdStrike. I'm not recommending you sell it. I'm not providing any financial advice. I'm just sharing with you my analysis and my conclusions. Now, as I look at this stock and think, what do I do with this stock? Well, I actually took action 2 weeks ago, and I'm glad I did. I started shorting CrowdStrike 2 weeks ago. And right now, my position has returned a 19% return on that investment in about 2 weeks. The reason I did that is I think CrowdStrike has really, really peaked from a valuation perspective. I think the road ahead is going to be quite bumpy, and there will be many questions. This may end up going up to the US government. Maybe a congressional hearing will be asked for, and CrowdStrike will have to speak to Congress and really reveal a lot of the details behind this outage. It caused a massive outage, and I don't think that you can just quickly explain the situation and hope it goes away. We'll see what happens. But for now, I'm glad I started shorting CrowdStrike. That position looks like a good position for me. I'll probably be shorting additional shares at the right moments. I like to average in either when I buy a stock or I go into a short position. I like to dollar cost average my investment. In this case here, my short position. So I'll buy and sell based on a timeline. In this case here, I could see myself shorting $5,000 to $10,000 of CrowdStrike, and really I'm aiming for a 30% return, and then I get out. Short selling is very risky. I'm not a big risk taker, but there are certain situations that seemed like a very obvious mispricing, and CrowdStrike is beginning to play out as a mispriced stock that is now dealing with a huge piece of bad news.